Sometimes, love stories hide the darkest secrets. What if the person you trusted most, the one you vowed to spend your life with, was secretly planning your death from the very beginning? Tonight's story takes us to China, where a romance quickly turned into one of the most chilling murder cases in recent history. Our story takes place in China, beginning in 2015. A young man named Xu Xiaodong, only 26 years old, lived in a small village near Hong Kong. Xu wasn't remarkable, he wasn't wealthy, and he wasn't particularly impressive. But one day, he met a woman named Yang Lipeng. Yang was a bright young woman, full of energy, and she quickly fell in love with Xu. And Xu told her he loved her back. Their relationship moved faster than anyone expected. In traditional Chinese culture, couples usually take their time, meeting families, dating for years, building trust. But Xu and Yang skipped all of that. Within a short time, they were already planning to get married. When Yang told her father about Xu, he immediately objected. She was his only daughter. To him, everything seemed too rushed. He wanted her to get to know Xu properly before making such a life-changing decision. But Yang was determined. She insisted her father meet Xu. When he finally did, he disliked him instantly. Something about Xu felt wrong. He couldn't explain it, but he told Yang, "This man is not right for you." Yet, love blinded her. Against her father's wishes, Yang decided she would marry Xu, whether her family approved or not. By early 2016, the wedding was set. On the wedding day, Yang looked stunning, dressed in her white gown, full of joy. But Xu walked into his own wedding wearing only jeans and a casual shirt. He looked as if he were a guest, not the groom. Yang's father was furious. How could his daughter marry a man who didn't even respect their traditions enough to dress properly? But Yang begged him not to ruin her day. For her sake, he stayed quiet. The marriage went forward. Not long after, Xu began pressuring Yang. She worked as a secretary, earning a good salary, but he insisted she quit her job. He told her, "If you really love me, you'll follow me, leave everything behind and come with me to Hong Kong." At first, Yang resisted. She loved her job. She didn't want to abandon her parents or her hometown. But Xu emotionally manipulated her, questioning her loyalty. Eventually, Yang gave in. She resigned her job and left with him. At first, life in Hong Kong seemed fine. Xu and Yang posted happy pictures on social media, smiling selfies, photos of dinners, snapshots of daily life. It all looked perfect. But behind the curtain, something darker was happening. Yang slowly drifted away from her family and friends. She rarely called. When she messaged them, she sometimes replied, but her responses felt cold, unnatural, forced. Friends couldn't easily reach her anymore. Months went by. Then, on February 17, 2017, Xu Xiaodong walked into a police station with his parents. Calmly, he told officers, "I killed my wife." The police were stunned. Just days before, Xu had posted pictures online showing himself and Yang together, smiling as if everything was normal. They immediately followed Xu to his apartment. Inside, they noticed something strange in the living room. A large freezer placed in the middle of the room with a camera pointed directly at it. When they opened the freezer, they froze in horror. Inside was Yang Liping's body, stiff and covered in ice. The body was badly frozen, showing she had been there for months. The autopsy revealed Yang had died in October 2016, nearly 4 months earlier. Cause of death, strangulation. At first, Xu told police it was an accident. He claimed Yang had discovered his affair with another woman, and during a heated argument, she shouted too loudly. Xu said he panicked, afraid neighbors would hear, and tried to silence her. He claimed he didn't mean to kill her, he was just trying to keep her quiet. But investigators weren't convinced. Why would a man who killed his wife, by accident, buy a freezer and place her body inside it for months? Why set up a camera pointing at the freezer, monitoring it day and night? Xu explained that the camera was to alert him if the power went out, so he could prevent the smell of her body from spreading. Detectives pressed harder. That's when the truth began to surface. They discovered Xu had been using Yang's phone and computer for months after her death. He was the one messaging her friends, replying to her parents, even posting on her social media to make it look like she was still alive. He also withdrew money from her bank account, transferring it into his own. And then came the most chilling discovery: books. Police found several banned books in Xu's apartment, books about murder, dismemberment, and how to hide bodies. The most disturbing detail? He had bought these books before his marriage. One book even described a case where a body was hidden in a freezer for years. Xu claimed the books belonged to Yang, but investigators knew he was lying. Xu wasn't even a reader. Then there was the freezer itself. Xu told police he bought it after Yang's death, but receipts showed he had purchased it long before she was killed. His lies were falling apart. After days of interrogation, Xu finally confessed the truth. He admitted he had planned the murder from the very beginning. He never intended to build a future with Yang. He had chosen Yang as his victim long ago. He isolated her from her family, pressured her to leave her job, and moved her to Hong Kong so no one could protect her. Then, when the time was right, he killed her because he wanted to know what it felt like to take a life. Xu told investigators, "I wanted to experience the feeling of killing, just like the people in those books. That's why I chose her." The revelation shocked the entire country. Yang's father, who had opposed the marriage from the start, fought to make the case public. He spoke to media outlets and pushed for justice. Soon, the story spread across China. The case of the husband who killed his wife and kept her body in a freezer. Public outrage grew. Prosecutors changed the charge from manslaughter to premeditated murder. During the investigation, police also discovered that Xu had not only been unfaithful, but he was using Yang's stolen money to take other women out on dates. Authorities feared that if he hadn't been caught, Xu could have become a serial killer, repeating his crimes with new victims. In court, his lawyer tried to argue that Xu was mentally unstable, that he wasn't responsible for his actions. They even claimed he had attempted suicide, but the evidence proved otherwise. On December 13, 2018, Xu was officially convicted of premeditated murder and sentenced to death. His appeals were denied. The court ruled that he had shown no remorse, carefully planned the murder, and even lived a normal life afterward while his wife's body lay in the freezer. What began as a love story ended as a nightmare. Yang believed she had found happiness, but in reality she had been chosen as a victim by a man obsessed with killing. This case remains a chilling reminder. Sometimes the greatest danger comes not from strangers, but from the people we trust most. Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.